Hi friends, how are you? Today we are going to sketch transparency. A lot of people ask me, how do you do with your black and white, your shading to get that feeling of transparency between the glass, windshield, side glass. So let's do the step by step so that you understand how to do it. Basically, it is a chiaroscuro technique, okay? It comes from the art, okay? Painters freehand drawing and also live drawing. But anyway, step one, we sketch our object, whether it's a glass, whether it's the side view of a car. We do everything in transparency so that we have the whole lines, especially if the object is in perspective. Okay, so for example, if I have a car that is, you know, something like this. And of course, this is my windshield, okay? Then this is the perspective. And I will sketch in transparency also the other part of what I cannot see. So the belt line here, the C-pillar here, okay? And then I'll try also to imagine the thickness of the structures, okay? So we have this thickness here, and in perspective, it will be a little bit thinner, but I put a second line there, you see? Then we have a triangle here, maybe. So if I follow perspective, the triangle will be there, you see? So I really go through the B pillar, then I follow perspective, and I know that my B pillar is gonna be more or less in this area. Then once I did that, the last thing I will do is this C pillar, because the back window. So let's say that it is like that, okay? So now I will sketch my cabin, put a little bit of line quality, okay? And what I will do now, I will add the classical lines that I use to make my reflections. So this is a cylinder. I will put my reflection here, right? And on my windshield, it's gonna be more or less in this area, like that. And then on top, it's gonna be like that. Okay, on top we don't see that much. Great. So now I will start making my chiaroscuro technique, my shading technique, being very careful about the values, what is really dark, what is medium tone, and what is light tone, so that when we're gonna look at the whole thing together, we will really have the impression that this is transparent. Okay, so first of all, let's put the basic grayish base that I do all the time on my shapes, okay? Here too. Then we have a little bit here on top. Okay, so now that I have this, I know that I have to add the core here that will shade from medium dark to white, medium dark white, medium dark white, okay? so that we have the feeling of reflections. But before I do that, let's take care of the reflections. So on the side, we know that reflection has to be really dark on top, and then it will shade lighter coming down, okay? Okay, and now I start playing the transparency in this area, because the transparency will be present only inside the reflections where it's dark. It's the same thing when you see in front of your window, okay, in your room, maybe there is a building in front. When somebody has the light on in the room in front of your building, then you can see inside. But if the light is off and inside is all black, you cannot see inside. You will see the reflections like a mirror of the sky or of your building on top of that window. So here is a little bit the same thing. Here you have to imagine that the light inside is off, okay? But we have some transparency because we have some light that will filter from the side glass here too, from the back. So there is light coming in from the back, light coming in from the back here on the side glass. And this will create that transparent feeling because there will be a difference in light, okay? There will be some parts inside the reflections that will be really dark because they are really shadow, so there is no light there. And then there are other parts that will be lighter because there is some light filtering, okay? And that's what you have to think about when you do that sketch to show the transparency. Okay, so in this case here, look what I do. I make this part dark. And I make also the belt line a little bit darker, the line, just the line, because to me, it is a little bit like the plastic components of the interior trim, okay? Where they have the little radius coming down. And that part is the plastic, the beginning of the plastic trim of the door panel, interior door panel. Then in this area, we know that we have this B pillar. So this one also is dark. You see? And then we have that triangle. Triangle is dark. And it is dark here too because it's a plastic part. You see? More reflection there. Okay, so now that I did that, you can already start feeling a certain type of transparency. Now let's do it in this area. So first of all, I make my reflection. So I have to shade it, okay? So now, in the dark spot, as you can see, I go darker. And also here a little bit. You see? Now, when you look both of them together, you can see that there is a transparency in this cabin, okay? Now, let's do the last thing, you know? The last thing is the core. This will help us also. So let's do it. We said medium dark tone to white, shading. There you go. Same thing on top of the windshield. Now, the windshield, don't forget, it's a conic shape, okay? So we have to make that shading in a way that we really read, the elliptical shape that is typical of the conic shape. Okay, so now we have our windshield. This area will be, a little bit lighter. Still, we have our core, but it's gonna be lighter. You see, like that. Just a little. The reason is very simple. You remember the rule, the shading rule of the cube. I can make a little sketch for you here. When we have a cube, we have three main surfaces. Surface number 1, number 2, and number 3. Okay? So the top, if the light is coming from here, okay? So light is coming from here. So this part is lighter, number 2. And we can do it like that. Look. Like that. Then we have the surface number 1 that will be a little bit darker because the light is hitting first this surface and after this one. This one is being hit by in an angle. This one is a direct light. And this will be the number 3, the darkest spot, because it's in shadow. If the light is coming from here, this is really in shadow. So the real color of your cube, the real color, if it's a gray cube, it's the color we put here, the value that we put on this surface, not this one. Because this one is altered by the light. So it's a strong light, it's like in the picture. When you take a picture and you put a lot of flash, all the skin, the eyes, everything is very light, but that's not the real color of the subject. This is the real color. So here I will go and make that color a little bit darker. Okay. This is just a quick, very quick explanation to make you understand how you have to consider, the three surfaces in terms of light. You see? And now this one, it's gonna be really darker. Not really dark, but darker. All right, so here you have a good example of, the three values for the shading according to the light. And here now, you understand why I made this a little bit darker, like this one. This one is a little bit lighter because in this case, you see the light is hitting here, like that. And in this case, because the object is moved on this side, it's more direct on top. But anyway, this doesn't change much. The understanding is that we have a 1, 2, and 3 surface. Now, what's going to happen in a transparent glass? In the darkest part, on top here, nothing. We leave it that way. But here, where it's darker, it's going to be the same thing happening onto the reflection. The same principle. So look what I do. First of all, I take care of my line quality on the outline, okay? Then I imagine here a little bit of that belt line here, you see? And this part will be darker because it's the interior of the car. the trim, you know, and then I will shade it according to the shade that I put already on top of my windshield. So dark light, the more I go on the left, the lighter I'm gonna make it. A little bit different, just a little. Now, if I have my dashboard here, for example, like that, you see? Here there is dashboard, here, darker. Here too. And here also. But you see, I will shade it. Because I get into the area where I have my reflection, and then we cannot see through in this area, because there you have that strong light. You see? Then we must have, of course, a steering wheel. So we just give an idea of the steering wheel, okay? We don't draw the whole steering wheel, okay? It's gonna be darker on this area and lighter on that one, because here everything is light. You see? Then maybe we have a little bit of our seat. Little indicate, always following the perspective, huh? Big effort about perspective, because sometimes we make the mistakes there. You see, now you have a feeling of that interior, even if we didn't put much. A little bit of decoration on the seat. Okay, well, I hope it's useful to you. Thank you.